There's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to Bard's Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bard, a.k.a. the Bard Father.
Man, this stuff rocks.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is David Reed Watson from A Rising Force, and you are listening to Bard's Mayhem Hour. Rock on.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Bard's Mayhem Hour, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to Bard's Mayhem Hour.
Hey everybody, welcome to Bard's Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father, and as always, I bring you guys and gals awesome interviews. But before I introduce my guest, please go out and subscribe to Bard's Mayhem Hour. Go to the YouTube page, click subscribe, and click the notification bell because we got a lot of great stuff coming up for you guys and gals. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on any of this. So today's guest is lead vocalist and guitarist David Watson of A Rising Force, and A Rising Force has released their second full-length studio album titled Eclipse via Dark Star Records, and it's the follow-up to their previous album Undertow. Also check out their debut single titled Believe. And man, welcome to the show, and I got some really good questions for you, sir.
All right, that's awesome.
So how you been doing, man?
I'm doing great. We've been pretty busy. We just got off like a mini thing with Tesla, and now we got a few more shows coming up now. We'll be playing with Bret Michaels and some other bands. There's a possibility of a tour over in Asia, over in the Far East. So we're just getting ready to run and just make it all happen.
So how excited are you guys to have the second album titled Eclipse out now? What's you guys' thoughts on this, man? Because it has to be a whirlwind of where the first one come from, and now you're with this one. It's just quick.
Well, yeah, it came out quick, mainly because our friend Mark Westland was the singer on the last album, and the band picked up so much, and Mark had other commitments with his other band called Them Pesky Kids, that he was like, whoa, guys, I can't do all this. So it was like a weird situation that happened. The owners of the previous record company died during COVID. Yeah, the male and female owner, they passed away, and Mark decided to pay more attention with his band, Them Pesky Kids. So it left Leni and the rest of the boys kind of in flux and saying, okay, what are we doing now? Well, fortunately what happened when Bill and his wife died, Dark Star heard about it, and they go, well, we'll pick you up. We love the band. We'll love it. We'd love to pick you up. So they got that, and then they got me. And then we just started writing more music. Leni was going for a heavier sound anyway, and I come from the metal world, So it was quick. Yeah, it was quick. The momentum was getting started with the other album, but then we had to kind of switch gears and go, okay, all right, we've got to concentrate on this now and get this working and make this happen. So. It's been a weird couple of years for the band, for sure.
Do you feel, though, David, that this new album is a heavier album than the debuted album? I said,
it's definitely heavier. I mean, you're going from a singer that, like a Janie Lane kind of singer to a Bruce Dickinson. You're not going to get I can't sing like Mark, and Mark can't sing like me. So it's going to change the music for sure.
Writing these songs for Eclipse, did it flow smoothly, surprisingly? Because it seems like the second album is always harder to do as far as outdoing the debut albums.
Well, again, a lot of it was Leni, and the boys had already started to write material for the second album while Mark was still in the band, and I got to hear some of those demos. And of course, when I came into the mix, it was we changed things around a little bit. I'm a lyricist as well, so it was Leni and myself mixing together our lyrics. Not only that, but we got a 23-year-old guy in the band, Billy, who's our other guitar player. So that added to the mix as well. So they went from a 4-piece band to a 5-piece, and it dynamically changed everything. We sat in rehearsals and we started going through some of the material that they had for the second album, and we started changing stuff left and right. And fortunately, we're all in the same room so that we could do that, and it made things happen a lot quicker. And plus, we're all motivated, and we really wanted to start working on the second album and get it out. So I don't think it was that difficult. No.
So adding the younger guy guitarist, man, I got to ask you, has it kept you guys on your toes? Has he brought that breath of fresh air into this band, possibly, maybe?
You took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, definitely. It's, I remember when I was 23 years old, and I used to, I started out playing gigs in the Boston area. That's where I cut my teeth, was in the Boston area. I remember being that age and being that excited and doing this. So now Billy's had, his chance now. We've only played with one major band right now, but he's going to get a chance to play with a lot more. We played with Warren Kicks and Tesla for our last show that we did. So I get to live vicariously through him. I get to see my 23-year-old self in him and see the excitement when he sees these guys on stage. And he, it keeps it real, because you want that excitement in this world, because, sitting on a tour bus for days on end can get really boring, and you can really start to question your life. But when you have someone like that in the band that keeps that excitement going, you're just like, wow, this is, we're blessed. We get to see how blessed we actually are.
Yeah. So speaking of that though, man, does it still give you the goosebumps though when you hit that stage with him in the band, to like say, man, like you said, you're living vicariously through his eyes, but it's like that ever revolving door, you know what I'm saying? Of like these new people that keep coming in, but does it still fuel your fire and give you those goosebumps when you hit the stage?
Well, I have this tendency, even at my ripe old age, I have a tendency to, I can't have a wired microphone. Yeah. I can't. I just, you can't control me. I have a tendency to jump up onto rafters or whatever, or jump out in the stage. And so I'm all over the place all the time anyway. So having Billy in the band, he is just as wiry, and he moves around as well. So, now I have to keep up with him.
Better hit them Pilates and quit eating that corporate McDonald's, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So are these all brand new songs, David, or songs that didn't make the debut album Undertow, possibly?
No, these are all brand new songs. One of the songs, Ragdoll, that is on the new album, that could have been on the first album, and it's kind of like it was probably an extra from Undertow, but that's about the only one. Everything else was pretty much written fresh with these ideas. We went through, all kinds of things. We actually tuned down a couple of the songs just because, like Believe is down with a drop of C sharp. Yeah. Just because that chunk, that heavy chunk, it just had to be there. It felt right to us in the room. We are a different band. We are a heavier band. The bands that I played in, over the years, my last touring band was Kill Ritual, and we were a heavy metal band. So they pretty much had to cater everything to my voice as well. and make it sound right.
Yeah, and when you're talking about the track "Believe," just like you said, they added 4 different guitar parts to give it that very heavy rhythm, that chunk that you're talking about. But what led that track to be the first one to be released off this album, man, to come out swinging? Was it just because of the heaviness and the chunkiness of this song, or?
Well, it really wasn't our choice. I'm grateful that the record company said, yes, this one, because we felt that when we were, recording it. I remember going into Winterland Studios and us recording that track. And initially I was only going to do scratch tracks, just kind of lay down a bass vocal that the guys could follow while they were recording all the material. And we did it, we recorded it the old school way. We sat in Winterland Studios, the drummer, the 2 guitar players and the bass player all sat in a circle playing with each other. Of course the amps were mic'd in different rooms or whatever, but they all sat in the same room together. And I sat in a separate room, in a vocal booth, just so it wouldn't bleed, so that you wouldn't hear the cymbals or whatever through my microphone. And we all stared at each other when we were recording it. So, again, I was just going to do scratch vocals, but I was so into it. And those guys were so into it that I just came, I was recording through a Neumann U87, which is a $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 microphone, which is, it just sounds beautiful anyway, And so I came out swinging just because I felt that energy. And then when we went into the control booth with Brian Bart, who was doing the mixing and the producing for it, we turned it up in the room, and all of us are just sitting there. I mean, we had our techs with us, and family members that were just sitting there going, nobody could stop moving. and so we're like, this is it, man, this is it. And so when Dark Star said the same thing, like, okay, we got a winner here.
When did you know the chemistry was right with this band when you first came into this, man, when they first brought you in? When did you know that, yeah, this is it, this is my band? Well,
we would go and hang out at the drummer's house. Okay. So I was, long story short, my girl and we were in Arizona at the time. We were actually thinking about moving to Arizona. I had some gigs in the Midwest, in the West, in Arizona, in Nevada, and that area, because I had come from Las Vegas prior. So I was back there with my Skinner tribute that I had, and I was doing some shows there. And then we were also looking at property in Arizona because we fell in love with the Sedona area. I had nothing musically in Minnesota at all until I got the call from Leni, and Leni and I just clicked immediately. And he's the same kind of guy I am, same mindset, whatnot. We just would get into these long 2-hour conversations, and my girl's going, I think you got a bromance going on here. I don't know what's going on. So when I came back to Minnesota to practice with the guys for the first time, I went in, I learned as much of the material as I could, and it just, you go in a room and you just know.
Yeah.
It just felt right. Everyone was smiling. Brian gave me a hug, the bass player, and he's like, man, you're the guy.
Yeah.
You're the guy. And then when Billy came in, same thing, because you never know a younger player coming in, you don't know what kind of mix you're going to have, or if he's going to like it even, is he going to want to play with these older guys, and he loved it. He's like, immediately, I want in. So it was a very, very natural feel for all of us. We all got along, we all get along, we all talk every day. And it's just, you just know there's no tension at all.
Now, the band worked in pre-production for 6 months to fine-tune this record. Did the pandemic help the band to take more time to be more creative on this album?
Well, initially, of course, with Undertow, it definitely did. With this one, I think we, because we're talking post-pandemic, that I was really getting together with the guys and practicing. Things were starting to pick up here. Clubs are, we could go to clubs or whatnot. I think at that point it was more of a rush, kind of like everybody is coming out with stuff in 2022. Are we going to be part of this ride? Are we going to hop on the train, or are we going to fall behind? I know a number of artists that have come out with things in 2022. So it was, I think we felt more of that than we did anything else.
It's a little scary right now for people to get back out there. And I totally understand. But when you see these folks coming out to these shows, do you see more excitement in their eyes and enjoying the show more than, say, like, pre-pandemic?
Yeah. Pre-pandemic, I think people just did a routine of, they're used to going out and seeing shows and blah, blah, blah. There is an excitement and a camaraderie and almost a family kind of sense now of, we made it. Let's I think on a positive note for the pandemic, we've got this this kind of survivor kind of thing now, where it's like we all felt like we made it through it. Everyone survived. I mean, I know a lot of people passed away, but the people that did survive are out there and they want to live now. They really want to live, and they want live music. They're hungry for it. They never ever want to go through what they went through before. So in saying that, there's definitely a revitalization of living, which is great. It's beautiful. The audiences have been amazing.
You've always been drawn to the darker aspect of psychology and what makes people tick. I believe it exemplifies that and your fascination with the tarot. So explain that a little bit. Go a little bit of deep detail if you don't care about that. What interests with you and what draws you to that?
Well, I told I grew up in New England, and my mom sent me to Bible camp when I was a kid, and I couldn't relate to that. To me, it was a very and nothing against people that are religious or whatnot, but there was a fakeness to it. There was like a belonging. I want to be part of this crowd, this tribe. So my first records that I listened to when I was a kid, Sabbath was one of them, and the dark, mysterious tones of Sabbath and the lyrical content were they hit me a lot closer than anything else, because it was a reality I was living. I come from a broken home. My dad left when I was a kid, and that's what I could relate to. Getting into the tarot and the esoteric kind of aspects. So I also do Reiki. I'm very much into energy work. I'm very much into spirituality, because spirituality is way more personal than religion, I believe. Religion's kind of like a follower thing to me. So I've always been drawn to darker kind of music, because to me it just seems more real. I mean, you've got a Metallica shirt on right now. They talk about reality. They talk about their feelings, and part of being in the metal world is we're putting out so much energy that there's very little angst left within inside of us, because we are pushing it out, and our audiences are feeling it, and they're releasing it as well. So I think there's less of a tendency to hold on to old shit if you are living a more open kind of feeling, if that makes sense.
Man, you made me smile on that, and I'm glad you hit that, because it's amazing on. Oh, I got chill bumps on me, man. It's amazing on how what you guys write and put out there, we take as our anthem as a fan. That's our fucking anthem. You know what I'm saying? That song speaks for us. We feel like you guys are our friends, and we don't even know you guys. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're part of the family. And for me, when I went through my ordeal with my father, music was a huge thing for me, and I'll say this till I'm blue in the face, and folks probably get tired of me say this, but I'm an open book, and I like to say music saved my life, and I hope it saves somebody else's life, because Master of Puppets by Metallica, it was my voice, it was my anger, it was everything I needed to say to keep me from going off.
Yes.
So, and I could just imagine you being a David sitting there listening to Black Sabbath and reading their lyrics and going, "This is my band." You know what I mean? It's like, and I'm so glad and thankful for Master of Puppets that I can still listen to this day, and it still takes me away, man. It still gets rid of my problems. So
it does. And you know what? And music is, the beautiful thing about music, and I've played around the world, and it's a universal language. And if you can feel it, it can change your life. It really can.
Oh, 1,000%, man. I've always said if there's not one song in this world that can't hit you and make you feel something, then I feel sorry for you. I'm so sorry.
Exactly.
And I don't care what style it is. I don't care if it's rap, country, bluegrass, whatever. If there's not a song that hits you hard, then I don't know what else will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're right. You're right.
So are there any tracks that did not make this new album we could see on another album or EP down the road from you guys?
Yeah, actually, there's a few songs. Of course, they don't have names yet. They're riffs for the most part. Billy actually brought, we decided we only wanted to put one ballad on the album, and that was the song "Star," which I wrote during the pandemic, when I was sitting in my bedroom in Las Vegas and kind of locked into the house and couldn't go anywhere. I had to really look at myself in the mirror and say, "Okay, Dave, reality's setting in. Let's write about you." So that song "Star" I ended up doing, and it's a ballad for the most part. It's an acoustic song, and then it builds up into what it is now. Billy had a ballad as well, which is amazing, and we listened to it and we're like, let's save that for the next one. And Leni and I, the guitar player, we talk every day, hours at a time. We actually have joked that we should take a tape recorder for our conversations, because we're constantly coming up with new ideas, and we'll go, remember that, this is great. So I think the big question right now is, what do we want to say for our third album? Now that we are this new cohesive unit, we've got a new drummer who came from a Led Zeppelin tribute band that we've added to the mix now. So this group of 5 guys is now going to start writing new material again. What do we really want to say? And I know that myself and Leni and Peter and Billy and Brian all want to change the world. We really do. We know that music saves lives. We know how much it touches our hearts. And so what do we want to say, who do we want to be? What kind of legacy do we want to leave? And that's the questions running through our head right now. And again, to not talk to you ad nauseum about this, but there are riffs that we have kept from the dregs, of all the songs that we wrote, that may make it on the next album. We don't know. We might completely change our tune and go,
Yeah.
I mean, we like Led Zeppelin's approach to writing music. They had all aspects of music on that. There was bluegrass, there was rock, there was heavy metal, there was folk. We want to be open to that, as well as just rock everybody's faces off and keep that energy high.
Now, I know that you dug the track Believe, but are there any tracks standing out more to you than any right now on this album? Possibly, if there's any, David.
Well, Star is very personal to me. The first lyrics in Star are slow down. I know you're scared. You've been running and not going anywhere. It's a very personal song to me, because it was written with me looking in the mirror and really asking who am I? Who is David Reed Watson? What do I exemplify? What are my fears? What are my, what are the things that make me tick? So that's a very, very personal song to me. And so far we've played it live numerous times now, and the audience is singing the words.
Oh, wow. That's good.
Yeah. I swear I have to be careful when I'm singing, because I'm halfway choking up when
Sure.
So that song means a lot to me. That means a whole lot to me. It doesn't take away from all the other songs by any means, but that was the first one that came to my head when you said that.
Was it very hard for you to write this when you said, okay, when you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you had to dig deep to get this out, man? Was it hard to you to put that on paper personally, or did it just flow easily and help you maybe?
I've always said that music has been my therapist. I've saved probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in having to go see a therapist by writing music. I've had a tendency over all my career of doing this looking in the mirror. Think of all my lyrics as a diary. Only my diary is just shared with the rest of the world. So it's not really difficult. It's definitely vulnerable. I don't tone things back, which kind of leaves me open to criticism if people want. But I'm a pretty tough dude. I can handle the criticism if people want to, and I'm also being very true to who I am. I guess what I want to say is that like yourself, your dad, the whole thing. We've all felt pain. We've all felt these emotions. I want to be an example for people to be able to feel those emotions. And I've always said this, and I've said this for years now. When people come to a show, I want them to leave with a question mark over their head. I want them to say to themselves, am I really living my life the way I want to? Or am I just doing this dead-end job and not living my truth? And living your truth is scary. Doing what you love is scary. But you know what? I can go to bed at night and I can say, I'm glad I did this. I'm glad I did this.
Man, you've hit on so many things here in this interview. I feel like there's a huge connection with me and you, and that's awesome. It's like this right here, when I'm doing my podcast, interviewing you and everybody, this is my passion. This is my drug. I want to be your guys' voice, just like music did for me. I want to leave that dead end job and be like, I'm happy now. This is what I want to do. And I've set out on that, and I'm not giving up till it happens. I will not give up.
Don't, as long as you're happy doing what
yeah.
you love, that's the most important thing. I see so many people in the world and in my travels, I was, when I was younger, I was in the Marines and I got to travel around the world and meet people and see how human nature ticks and, different cultures, different religions, different ethnicities, the whole thing. But the common denominator with everybody is the people that were happy were the people that were doing what they love. And the people that were unhappy were the ones not doing what they love or doing the things that they say they are supposed to do.
Yeah.
Or what they have to do. I'll tell this to anybody, would you, I know that money seems to be like a big, huge thing for people. I get it. I get that you have to survive. I get that you have to pay your bills or whatnot. I've made it my sole responsibility for myself to get rid of anything I don't need. Get rid of that baggage, if you want to call it. I can pack everything that I own in my pickup truck. Minus my Harley, I have to put on a trailer. But but I know that I have the freedom to do what I love. It might mean eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for a month, but at least I have that choice to do what I love. Too many people get locked in with mortgages, a lot of bills, with too much stuff. Too much debt. That's a big thing.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, if you can get rid of all that, or at least start in the process of getting rid of all that, your life will become much simpler, much happier, and you can focus on what you love. I look at stuff, and don't get me wrong, I've gone through my life with having stuff. I've had the big house, the cars, the BMW and stuff like that. I look at that stuff as like comfort food. It makes you happy temporarily.
Yeah.
It doesn't really do anything except blanket the real feelings deep down inside of you not doing what you want to do.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, man. I've been at that point for 6 years, and I finally, got my car paid off. So that's one huge thing gone. So I'm slowly but surely getting there, but I am not giving up by any means. And hopefully one day I will get there.
You will. I mean, I because you're doing what you're doing, I get to tell you what I do.
Yeah. Exactly.
If you didn't have this platform, I couldn't be doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
So
man.
I'm grateful for people like you that do this, because it opens up a whole new door for me.
Was there a track that you guys were working on that totally ended up sounding different than it was intended to when it was first brought to the table? Was there one that just kept changing or no?
Trail of Tears. Billy wrote that initially. And Billy's a shredder. He's a guitar virtuoso, Leni is a great guitar player as well, but Lenny's more of a blues kind of guy, So when Billy introduced Trail of Tears to us, we did some finagling and moving around, dropping the key a little bit, slowing it down a little bit, introducing different parts into it. That was probably the one that had the most changes to it. But every time that we changed it, it was like, yeah, that's it. And Billy was right along with it. And what's great about our writing process together is there's no ego involved. It's like we write for the song. Whatever is best for the song. There's nobody there that gets butthurt that says, well, this is my song and I didn't want it to be. No, that doesn't happen. It's for the benefit of all of us. And so that one probably went through the most transitions.
Now, the band worked with Brian Bart again, who co-produced the first album with Leni. How was working with Brian on this second album, man? And you especially working with him? Did he push you guys to get something out of you that maybe you think somebody else might not have gotten, possibly, or did he know just what the band was looking for again?
Well, Brian has worked with Leni for 3 decades now.
Okay.
You know, so he knows Leni very well. He knows what Leni wants. You know, he knows Leni back from the Hurricane Alice days in the 80s. You know, that was Leni's band. And so Brian, he didn't really have to make too many influences. I think it was more like, wow, this is a new project. Let's see what you guys got. Whatever suggestions he might have made were just technical alone. You know, I think he mentioned something about introducing a keyboard. So in one of the songs we have, there's Trouble's Back in Trouble Again is one of them. It's a very kind of bluesy, white snaky kind of song. And there's a keyboard part in there, this breakdown. And I believe that Brian had suggested that.
I know you've had a lot of music growing up, and I know we just talked about this just a little bit ago, but do you still have a go-to album, David, that you just cannot kick out, man, or a song that you have to listen to, or an album that you have to listen to from time to time that you just have to go back and listen to?
Oh my God. It's hard to narrow down, but right off the top of my head, I've always loved Greg Lake's voice. So like the first Emerson, Lake and Palmer album is probably one of my favorites. The song From the Beginning is such a beautiful acoustic song, and that kind of led me on my way to me as an acoustic player as well. Of course, there's a million things that I could mention.
Sure. That
one first came out because I love Greg Lake's voice. I always loved Greg Lake's voice. Him and Ian Gillan were probably my favorite vocalists when I was a kid.
Folks, do me a huge favor. Get out and pick up a Rising Force, their second full-length album entitled Eclipse via Dark Star Records. Please get out and check out their first album, Undertow. Pick that up. Please do not fall asleep on this band. Give them a fair shot. I guarantee you will like at least one song off this album by these guys, or any album that they put out. Give them a fair shot. So, David, my man, how could folks stay in touch with you guys? Buy these albums, everything a Rising Force has to offer. How can they do that, sir?
It's very easy. It's arisingforceband.com. It's got links to our record label. It's got links to Amazon, I think FYE, or I don't even like saying their name, but Walmart. You can get our stuff there. It's got links to our YouTube videos. It's got links to our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, pretty much everything in one box you can get right there on arisingforceband.com.
And also, folks, I will have all these links in this interview when it posts. So there's no excuse for somebody saying, I don't know where it's at. Well, right there it is. And it's going to be in the interview. So there. David, before I let you go, good sir, would you care to do a promo for my show?
I would love to. Ladies and gentlemen, this is David Reed Watson from A Rising Force, and you are listening to Bod's Mayhem Hour. Rock on.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on Bod's Mayhem Hour. Please get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link and that YouTube link. You want to subscribe and click on the notification bell. Please do me a favor like that, folks, because I subscribe to anybody and everybody. So help me out like I help you all out. Also, get out and pick up a Rising Force new album, Eclipse, and their first debut album, Undertow. You won't be disappointed. Like I said earlier, folks, give these guys a fair shot. And I'm also affiliated with Metal Inc., Forum Obscura, which is an online magazine that talks about obscure art, band reviews. Check that out as well. And Diary of the Madman, the Ultimate Ozzy Osbourne podcast with Dan and Josh. Won't be disappointed. Listen, folks, they know more stuff about Ozzy than Ozzy, I think, knows about himself. So that's the truth. David, thank you so much for doing this interview, man. I truly appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. And peace out, brother.
You're listening to Bod's Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.